You look at your iPhone. That product keeps developing forward. It doesn't stay the same the whole time. Describe the building of a firm's total product. We're going to understand a product strategy. Why do you sell a certain product? What's your strategy behind that to penetrate the market? We're going to discuss how the legal environment affects product decisions, because every product that's sold out there has to go through a quality control check to meet legal standards. But listen, today, the toys that were sold 30 years ago could not be sold today because of all the problems, the pieces that fall off, children who choke on things. So now things have to be built a different way and serviced that way. And explain the importance of supply chain management, which I think this is probably one of the most important. How do you get your product? How do you get your materials? Where does it go from? How do you lay out your plan? How do you figure it out? That's one of the top keys to me as to being successful, because if you don't have a product, you cannot sell. So it has to be in that part. So, okay, let's keep going. To grow or not to grow? That is the question. Some entrepreneurs find maintaining the status quo and challenge it up. And what it means by that is this: when you get to a certain point in your business, just to maintain the growth is difficult. We use an example that's kind of hard right now. The Dodgers, the best team in baseball, coming into the playoffs. How do they keep their momentum flowing? To me, that's what cost them against the Padres. The last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, the Dodgers were coasting because they had already hit the pinnacle, for their league. Whereas the Padres had to fight just to get to the playoffs. And I think that's what was lacking, why the Dodgers lost. So it's all about maintaining the status quo. They need to maintain their edge to win. They didn't. And it hurt them. Growing quickly can be a stressful proposition for an entrepreneur. That was a problem that Scrub Daddy had. He was growing faster than he could produce his product or get his product produced. That's why he went to Shark Tanks. That caused a lot of headaches. Rapid growth in sales and profits may be hazardous to a company's cash flow. If you're growing fast and you don't, and we talked about cash flow before and managing cash flow. If you don't manage success, it can go away quickly. And what I mean by that is, when a company starts bringing in cash, sometimes ownership changes their spending habits. They tend to want to grow too fast, or they tend to want to take the profits out. They don't retain them to grow a business. We're going to learn a little bit about that, right? And then growing a business too quickly is very stressful for owners, because now they've had success. They've dreamed about it, and it's here. And if their business is growing too fast and they haven't planned for the future, they can find themselves underwater because of the fact that it's too fast for them to get to where they want to be, or they've gone too fast. Nobody expected things to go. And I always use the example of Scrub Daddy, because they went from here to here in a very short period. But luckily, the owner of Scrub Daddy had Lori Grenier, who had taken hundreds and hundreds of businesses from here to here. So she knew how to overcome that process. She had a team of people working for her. It's not just every one of those sharks you see on Shark Tank, it's not just that one person. Each one of them has a team behind them that supply the resources. And that's what Lori Grenier always talks about, or all the sharks say, when you get me, you get my team of experts. You get my managers, you get my marketeers, you get all the resources that I have that I bring to the table. And that's really what's important to a business to help them grow. And sometimes growing too fast is a pain. Small business entrepreneurs firms produce twice as many innovations per employee as large firms. Small businesses are more hands-on. When you're in a company like Disney and you've got 100,000 employees, sometimes great ideas get overlooked because there's so many people. But if you have a company that only has 5 employees, the owner is going to hear those 5 employees a lot. They're going to work more as a good team, a cohesive group. That's why it puts you in teams of 4 and 5, because it's easier for you to brainstorm. If I said, okay, we're going to have one project for the whole team, the whole class to do, some people aren't going to speak up as much because there's so many people, and you may lose good ideas. That's why it's very important that when managers put people in teams, they don't put them together with too many, because you can lose those great ideas. In a smaller group, people feel more comfortable speaking out. In a large group, not as much. Okay? The probability that a new innovation will go on to become success is extremely low. Not every idea is successful. Right? Not everything that happens is successful. Right? In the movie Apollo 13, when NASA, or not Apollo 13, but Armageddon, when NASA realized there's a global killer coming to get us. We have the best minds on the planet. They sat around a table and they were coming up with ideas of how to do this. You've got the brightest individuals in the planet, and they were all throwing these different ideas out there. Right? Not all those ideas were right. You know, one said that we're going to put a big mylar balloon behind it to slow it down so it would change the, right? Boom, they threw that out. So not all the ideas that come from a group are there. Not all new innovation works, right? Sometimes a company's new innovation is already outdated by the time they get it to work, because it's taking them so long to get that point. So the chances of success is very low. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. That's another thing. Competitive advantage. The risk of failure increases when innovation is the goal. Right? If your goal is only to imagine something, the chance of failure is a lot lower when you're growing into it. So you've got to make sure that things that you do are things that you can do. An entrepreneur can reduce the risk of innovation by basing innovation efforts on expertise. If you're going to do something, you need to have the right expertise. When we put people together in groups, all 5 of you are individuals, all 5 of you are different. All 5 of you bring something different to a team. When I was in the bank, if we had a project, I would bring in people that had accounting expertise, sales expertise, marketing expertise. You know, when these sharks are putting together a team to help grow a business, they bring in all these specialists to help with it. And because you do that, you can reduce the risk of it failing, because you have people working on a different project. Okay? Targeting products or services that have been overlooked. Something new. Right? When something new comes on the market, it sells quickly. Oh, because people go, oh, I didn't realize I needed that, but I need it. Right? Something comes on that's convenient, that helps you, do something better. Just by standards, if you have an apple and you want to peel an apple, you take a knife and you just slowly peel it. But if you were at a trade show and you saw somebody that had one of these little gizmos, plucked an apple, you spin it and peeled it for you, I gotta have that. Even though you don't eat apples every day, but I gotta have it. Because it's innovative, it saves me time. So targeting the product service that have been overlooked. Validating a market for the product or service. putting something out that people will buy. It's not just something to innovate something or to build something, but does the product that serves the community or the clients you're going after have a need for it? Emphasizing value creation for customers. What is the first thing that customers look for when they're buying something? Is the V word, value. Okay. You have to be able to, one, show that someone needs it, wants it, and can use it, but can they get it at the right cost? Is it bringing value to them? Because I buy that Apple spinner, is that going to bring value to me because it's going to save me time? Or is it going to help me be better at what I'm doing? Okay, so you have to know that. And pursuing new ideas that will lead to more than one product or service. Scrub Daddy now has about 15 to 20 different products. Started off with the yellow sponge, now it's got all these different ones. So it's been able to continue its growth through the evolution of it. iPhone continues to sell and sell out every phone they make. Not because they keep making the same phone. I mean, they can do the same, when you buy a phone, you buy it for its features. What it's going to bring to you. Every new phone that comes out has different features or enhanced features that you suddenly realize you can't live without. Not the status that I have an iPhone 14. It's what that iPhone 14 will do for you. Because if I'm going to pay $1,000 for another phone, right, it better do something different than the one I have, or do it better. So that's recognizing what it is. Okay? Or it comes with other attachments that will do it. The reason we went from Samsung to iPhone is because my wife was getting into the Facebook with her friends. She was retiring. But realized with a Samsung, she could only go Samsung to Samsung on the Facebook capabilities. Where with iPhone, you can go to any phone for Facebook capabilities. That was one of the features my wife wanted. And then raising sufficient capital to grow. Can't do it on a shoestring. You have to have the money to be able to sustain the growth. Every product pitch that the sharks get is because these companies want to grow, they want to be successful, but they need the cash to do it. If they had the cash themselves, they would get it done themselves. But for the most part, they need that cash for it. Innovation is a means by which a firm can achieve and sustain a competitive edge. To be better than the competition, you have to change. You have to grow and go everything else. Right? Did anybody here remember when McDonald's didn't sell salads, didn't sell chicken? To be competitive, McDonald's had to move up and change what they do. Not every company does that, right? To be successful. Because they have a market niche that people want. In-N-Out Burger doesn't change. Still does the same thing it's done for the last 30 years. And they are extremely successful at what they do. Very few companies can do that. Right? Very few companies can keep it that way. Now, one of the things that keeps In-N-Out in business is it has longer hours than most stores. It has the hidden menu. Everybody know what the hidden menu? The 3x3s, the 4x4s, animal style, protein style. Doesn't show it on the menu, but you can get that way. Right? That's one of the conveniences there, where some stores like McDonald's, you buy a cheeseburger, you can't get it animal style, or they give you that look when you say, can you just add something to this, to add something to that, right? It's a different philosophy. But McDonald's has a wider base of choice than others. Chick-fil-A, same thing. Chick-fil-A, brought on salads to add to their menu, but their basic function is still just chicken. Right? It continues to be just chicken. Right? They don't sell burgers. They don't, sell tacos. Right? They do sell breakfast burritos, but it's still chicken based. Right? So it's what gets them going. I'm gonna sit over here because it's good. I didn't get home from Disney last night till 3 in the morning. So it was a long boogie night at Disney. A company's competitive advantage needs to be long lasting to have great impact. Starbucks has the competitive advantage over other coffee shops. Now, you may like a different coffees from someone else, individually, but Starbucks definitely has the majority of the market share when it comes to the coffee industry. They've learned, they have grown from it. And to have a competitive advantage, they continue to grow their products, they continue to use innovation. It wasn't that long ago that McDonald's or that Starbucks didn't sell food, right? They were strictly coffee. Now they serve breakfast things. They serve lunch sandwiches, right? To add to that flavor. They have drinks that aren't coffee or tea, right? They have their new lemonade glass and those things. They need that to be competitive. If my wife and I go to Starbucks, I'm not a coffee drinker. I just sit there and do nothing. But now they have something that I can drink that I would like. So they've had to be innovative to stay that way, and that's why they are the leader in the industry. Other coffee shops are trying to emulate it, but because they are financially strong, they grow everywhere. And their logo is very well known, very well out there. Competitive ad life cycle. Everything has a life cycle. The day we're born, we start to die. That's a true fact, right? You have a life cycle. You're an infant, you grow up, you're learning, you're growing. By the time you reach 18, you think you know it all. But you've probably completed high school, you've completed part of your education, and you're growing. If you stop your education in high school, you may come to a point where you can no longer advance in the business world. You're where you're at. You come to a peak. And then as you get older, you slowly start thinking about retiring and you start moving in this cycle here. Whereas going to college increases your longevity and it gives you that competitive advantage to grow. So competitive advantage comes in different stages when it comes to business. The first one is the development. How am I going to run my business? What product do I choose? Where am I? Then there's the deployment part of it. I've got my product, I've got my business, I'm growing. Do I expand? Do I stay where I'm at? Do I get other products? Do I grow to the peak? Some products reach a peak. 10, 12 years ago, one of the biggest fads was Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies went from here, zoom, to here, really quick. Because like baseball cards, like anything else that can be traded, they became novelties. Everybody had them. I've got probably 300 or 400 of them sitting away somewhere. Because we all got into it. We all went to McDonald's and got the Happy Meals because they were giving up the little Beanie Babies. We all did that. And then boom, a decline hit. It stopped. We got to a point where, and I believe, like with baseball cards, these companies oversaturated the market. Now they were novelties. You could get them at any gas station that was growing. Right? Before, if you were a collector of Beanie Babies, as soon as a new one ran out, you ran to a store to find it. Now you're walking through a Hallmark store and you see Beanie Babies here. You go through a gas station, 7-Eleven, you got Beanie Babies here. Right? Disney came out with their Beanie Babies. Different brands came out with different things. It oversaturated the market, and it started to get into the decline mode. That's a life cycle, right? At one point, Scrub Daddy got to the point where the yellow sponge was not enough. If he would have kept it that way, still would have sold it, but his mammoth growth wouldn't be the way it is unless he came out with Scrub Baby, Scrub Mama, the attachments that went along with it, the holders, the different things that he did. Because if you're buying one, you want to buy another one, right? They partnered up with different hotel chains. Now, every time I go to a hotel, there's a sink, there's a Scrub Daddy there, a little one. They help you with stuff. So, you know what? You got to be innovative. Okay. Achieving sustainability. How do I continue in the market? How do I continue to grow? How do I continue to keep any kind of competitive advantage? Starbucks does it with their seasonal stuff. Right? It's one thing to just go in and get your favorite latte, your favorite thing, but now they have the pumpkin spice. And coming towards closer to the holiday season, around Christmas, they're going to come out with their cinnamon spice, their different flavors. They're going to come out with gift packages because people like to give gifts from Starbucks like that. I remember when they first came out with their souvenir glass. Now they've got like hundreds of different ones. But when they came out with that plastic glass that matched the regular cup, everybody had to have one. And you couldn't find them anywhere. And then bing, a light went off into Starbucks and said, hey, we've got something to do. They only brought that glass out as just a novelty, just for something to test. But it took off because everybody wanted to have that glass. Right? Now they want the seasonal glass, now they want this stuff. They want this one, they got the colored one, they got the water cooler thing, they got just about everything else that you can think of when you go in there. Because you know what? It reached a different type of client. Right? Now you can sell gifts. You can always buy the packaged coffee, but now you can give gifts out. Right? You go to Costco and they have the Starbucks big basket with all the different little things in it. Right? They've extended from their stores outside. It's sustainability. To do that, firms that wait until the stuff hits are in trouble. You can't wait to sustain your business. You have to be ahead of the game. The owner from Scrub Daddy went to Shark Tanks because he realized I am growing fast. The only way that I can sustain that is I need more products out there. I need to have more of that little yellow scrubber because right now the supplier can't meet my demand. Right? And my demand is based off of the demand of the clients. So what did he want the money for? A factory that he could go 24/7 building his Scrub Daddies so that he could sell. He could go from $100,000 a year or $100,000 over 3 years is what it was to 8, 9, 10 million a year up to 700 million in sales over a period. The only way you sell things is you have the product. Okay? And you can tell there are some businesses that need to preload, need to get cash to do that. So they sell their product up front. It's coming out. If Nike's coming out with a new pair of Air Jordans, you can pre-order them, 3 to 4 months in advance. You pay for it. That's a cash infusion to Nike, right? And then when they come, you're guaranteed to get your shoes, right? That's how stores like Apple can then really survive. Just by continually get their cash flow to go and being innovative. And a firm is more likely to avoid a slump if it keeps a close eye on the hidden curves. A hidden curve is a roadblock that may come up. When you're driving in the mountains, right, normally you'll see a sign that'll tell you, S-curve's coming, right? If you keep your eye on the sign and you see the sign, you're going to be prepared for those S-turns. You're going to slow your car down and be ready to go this way. If you don't keep your eye on the signs, when you get to that curve, you're going too fast. You may not curve. You may be in danger of crashing. Businesses are the same things. This is why we have, we talked about, projections. Doing the economic research. Where are we? One big curve that nobody anticipated was the pandemic. That was a huge curve, right? Business stopped. People had to pivot and find something else. The online craze that we have now blew up at that point. I'm not saying badly. Everybody had to go to online. Those companies that did not do that did not survive. I saw an ad yesterday, the Prop 27, which is the one about the Indian casinos being able to do this or that.
Indian casinos aren't necessarily regulated by government oversight. When the pandemic hit, they stayed open. They just regulated how far apart people were on their own. They still made money during the pandemic, where other casinos, let's say California, nope, your doors are closed. Nobody can go in there. So they were losing money while the Indian casinos were making money. Because they weren't under the California law that said no businesses could have it. Like restaurants were closed, and all of that was closed for the longest time because of California law. Other states like Texas opened up a lot earlier. Florida, same thing. Walt Disney World was open way before Disneyland opened up because Florida law allowed it. But California law says no, you can't do it. Right? Conversely, those other states had a higher, incidence of COVID than we did too. They didn't care whatsoever. So you got to be able to look ahead and overturn those curves. Right? Look to what you think the potential is. That's why it's important that when economists and when Bank of America twice a year put on their economic forecast, and they had the two gentlemen from Chapman College, which are two of the highest ranked economists in the country, if not the world, come to speak. People packed the Segerstrom Center.